they're certainly not a set and forget stock that you put it in the bottom drawer and say this is going to give me great income forever, because BHP cut its dividends massively sort of 18 months ago. But if you are taking a shorter term view, then yes, we made some very good income out of BHP, Rio, Fortescue in the last sort of 12 months. So you need to take, differentiate whether this is a short term view, go in, grab some very nice dividends fully franked, or a long term buy and hold. I wouldn't recommend them, but in term, because they are very cyclical. As part of a diversified portfolio though, they have a place, that's for sure. Well, this last reporting season, we've had sort of quite strong growth from the likes of Woolies and Wesfarmers, IAG, those sorts of things. So quite a few of the industrials. Now, having said that, Woolworths was a bounce back from a big cut last year, same as BHP was, but there's actually some reasonable growth there. And even CBA, which is somewhat maligned, excuse me, at the moment, had a 4% increase in dividends, 5% increase in earnings, and that's a high yield stock starting with. So that that's solid dividends coming from there, and all fully franked. They still generate a lot of income in Australia. About a third of the entire dividends of the whole market come from the 4 big banks. Actually, CommBank's result wasn't too bad. I mean, they actually did increase their dividend by about 4%. The AUSTRAC issue is the sort of elephant in the room. Clearly, we don't know how big that fine will be. It could be very large. And that may mean, if it's at the extreme end of that maybe next year it has to cut its dividend. But I see that as a once-off. I see that as a once-off issue, not a long-term threat to the Commonwealth franchise. I think it's a great bank. So to some extent, the fact that it peeled off in price relative to the other banks was a bit of, to me, a buying opportunity, because it's going to have a single, a once-off, very large fine, and then earnings will go back to what they were. So, if anything, I could see that as a buying opportunity, but clearly they've got to get the house in order, and they've got a few changes in CEO and the board, but hopefully that will be a good thing. That will renew the company, and they are a great franchise. Put it to a number of people. I said, well, because of AUSTRAC, are you going to move your account from CommBank? And not one person has said they would. They've all gone, I don't care really. It's a reporting issue. So it could be a substantial fine, but banks in Australia are fundamentally very strong. And it's a very solid industry. They've got market power. They've been able to increase interest rates recently on interest-only loans and not lose customers, because it is a fairly cosy industry. I'll put it that way. You need a license to operate, and the 4 big banks and the 2 minor ones have the market pretty much to themselves.